She said she's done. And if you're like most men, you think it's over. But what if I told you that there is one more chance, right? That you can do one more thing to get a shot, even after divorce papers are served. This is the same 7-step plan that's turning divorces around worldwide. It's why the heroic husband movement is growing so fast and honestly is getting copied everywhere. And that's because our biggest mission isn't just to make sure that your divorce, your separation, your relationship is turned around and fixed. Our biggest mission is much greater. It's to make marriages better again. Our biggest mission is to make sure that the marriage is tighter, because societies are actually measured based on the structure of their family unit. And at the core of the family unit is the husband, is the father, is the man holding it all together. Because governments are made up of populations, populations are made up of families, families are made up of husband and wife, and at the bottom of it all, holding it all on his shoulders, keeping it all together, is the man. But look, the real power, it's in how you lead, not talk. So stick around, because Step 7 will change everything and how you see everything. So let's be real. Most men blow their second chance before it even starts. Not because they're bad guys, not because they didn't try, but because they tried the wrong things. They try to fix the marriage directly, talk it out, apologize, suggest counseling. But the truth is, you can't fix the marriage while she doesn't feel safe around you. Others go into what I call a silent monk mode, but that's the worst, because they start working on themselves behind the scenes, hitting the gym, journaling, listening to podcasts, hoping somehow she'll notice, she'll come back. But we're very active here. But look, she doesn't notice because you're not showing a new pattern. You're just hoping she reads your mind. Or maybe you're stuck in a wait and yes mode, or what I call divorce separation limbo. You pull back, hoping space will heal it. You say the things like, she knows where I stand, or I'm giving her time. Meanwhile, she's already emotionally packing up and moving on. Here's the shift. Your wife isn't waiting to hear better words. She's watching to see better patterns. Think about it like this. Imagine a cracked foundation in a house. You don't fix it by painting the wall or rearranging the furniture. You don't. She's not looking at the decor anymore. She's checking if the house feels safe for you to stand in. And the moment she feels like the structure hasn't changed, she walks. That's where we're here to change, step by step. Step 1 is a simple but powerful. You've got to stall the divorce. Right now, your wife is emotionally checked out. She's already on the train and it's moving fast. So you can either pull the brakes or grease up the wheels. Conversation, every silent dinner, every misconnection is just speeding up the divorce train, going off that cliff. Most men try to, stop the train by jumping in front of it, begging, over-explaining, pouring their hearts out. But let's be honest, when you chase her emotionally, it makes her pull away even faster. So what do you do instead? You pull the brake. And here's how you do that. With calm, confident energy, not fear, not panic. You say something like this, okay? Look, I know things haven't been working and I take that seriously. I'm not here to convince you of anything today, but I'm asking for one thing. Let's take 90 days. You don't have to decide anything right now. During that time, I'll focus on changing what I've missed. No pressure on you, just observe. And at the end of the window, we can talk again. That right there, that pulls the emergency brake. Now, I will have a lot of guys who will try that, okay? Or they'll try their version of that. And they'll be like, oh, Noah, she was just so hardcore. She was yelling at me, going crazy. I don't think it worked whatsoever. Or she didn't say anything. She just pulled back. She retreated. She was quiet. That is good. That is gold. Why? Because you are actually seeing her biggest thing, fear. Okay. Your wife right now is in a hopeless state. And this is just for people in general, not just for women, but for men. When they get to this point, it becomes hopeless. They think the old patterns are going to repeat and nothing new is ever going to move forward. But when you do something like this, okay, even if you see her scream and shout, Even if you see her go, it's okay, yeah, whatever, become more passive or closed off, that shows you that she is still afraid, that the old you is there, and you are still operating off of old frameworks, off of old patterns. And look, the reason why this is so powerful, or what we call the address the situation for my private clients, is you're not asking her to come back. You're giving her emotional room while quietly creating space for her to reconsider you. Because here's the truth. She's not scared of leaving. She's scared of regretting it later. Okay. Remember, hopelessness. Giving her this time window allows and lowers that fear and gives you what you really need, a chance to lead the shift instead of reacting to her decisions. I had a client, we'll call him Dave, whose wife had already met with a lawyer. Instead of fighting, he calmly said, "You don't owe me anything, but I owe it to myself and to you to show up for 90 days without excuses. No pressure, just time to reflect. Can we do that?" She agreed. Why? Because it wasn't about talking her into anything. It was about giving her the freedom to pause and him the time to shift. So remember, you're not pulling her off the train, right? You're just putting the brakes on long enough for that door to open. Step 2 is where most men get stuck. And it's the reason why nothing they do seems to change how she feels. It's called the emotional healing process. And it's what we call EHP. Now, the key truth is this: you can't rebuild trust if you're still hiding the wound that broke it. Most guys try to do better, right? They start cleaning the kitchen, they start hitting the gym, they start reading books. But if you look and we go off of a framework, but that's just a bottom. That's just a bottom layer. That's like scraping by. That's like nothing. That's not even like the main focus. And a lot of men think that's what it is. But in today's day and age, no, you need to do better, right? For the version of them she's looking at, he's still carrying the same pain, the same fears, the same emotional energy that got them here in the first place. And that's why we're big on first that internal change. So how do you fix that? Well, it starts with facing your own reflection. And I'm going to give you a tool, literally, where you face your reflection. So here's the first tool we use with clients. It's called the mirror exercise or mirror work. Find a quiet room, no phone, no noise. Look in the mirror, dead in your eyes, okay? And ask yourself, what do I see? What am I carrying that if she feels when I walk in the room? Where did I become untrustworthy? Not just to her, but to myself. Sit in it. Do not flinch, okay? Let it burn. That's how you start healing. Not by covering it, but by owning it. And we actually are the first to coin the term, and I got it off of Jocko Willing, so shout out to him. But extreme ownership is extremely magnetic, okay? We started talking about extreme ownership as soon as we came on the scene, okay? As most men nowadays, and you can even see it, it's very funny. I'm not trying to push anything religious or anything like that, but it's kind of biblical. You even see it in as simple as Adam and Eve. When God found out that, they ate from the tree, right? And he approached Adam. Adam goes, well, he didn't even own it, right? He goes, well, you gave her to me, you know? So this is something that is kind of like at a foundation of men is like, we'll own it, right? But at first we like to point, but extreme ownership is extremely important here. Now, here's the part that hits home, okay? Resentment is a leak. If you haven't dealt with yours, it spills into how you talk, how you touch, how you lead, your tone, your energy, even your silence. It's an energy that your wife can feel. Think of a cracked pipe behind the wall, right? You can't repaint the wall every day, but until you fix the leak, the water keeps seeping through and the damage gets worse. That's what happens when you try to move on without doing the internal work. Let me give you a quick story, real quick. We had a client, and we'll call him John. His wife had kicked him out of the bedroom. He'd been sleeping on the couch for about 6 months, and he thought being quiet was respectful. non-confrontational, the nice guy move. But when he did the mirror exercise, John saw what his wife had been feeling all along. He was ashamed. And that shame made him small, indirect, emotionally closed. That wasn't respectful. That was avoidance. The moment he named that wound and started owning it without over-explaining it to her, she started looking at him differently. Why? Because the version of him needed was finally stepping forward. So don't hide it. Don't spiritualize it, okay? Don't try to logic it away. Heal it. Because the man that she might be giving a second chance to isn't the man who covers up that pain. It's the one strong enough to face it, fix it, and lead past it. Step 3 is where the tide begins to turn. So if you do this right, it's called the emotional shifting process, or ESP. The mission here is simple, okay? Shift the energy in your home from tension to connection. Because listen, if the air between you two still feels heavy, if she's tense up when you speak, she doesn't feel safe. And as long as she doesn't feel safe, she won't let herself feel in love again. And here's the part most men miss. You can't explain your way out of this, okay? The man she wants back isn't the one who explains himself well. It's the one who makes her feel safe again. Actions speak louder than words. So let's talk about how to actually shift that energy in a real, visible way. So tool number 1 is empathetic listening, not agreement, understanding. Most men listen, okay, just to jump in with a fix or defense. But that's not what she needs. She needs to know you heard what she said, you feel the weight of it, and you're not trying to rewrite it. That's a big one. She says, you never prioritize me. You always put work first. You don't defend it. You don't explain it or why. You say, you're right. I didn't protect what we had, and I can see why you feel you didn't matter. Boom. Easy connection. Simple, right? Tool number 2, and by the way, real quick, it's how you say it. Everybody's always obsessed with the thing and the outcome and making sure that we fix the thing, okay? You have to have a farmer mentality. You have to worry about the journey, because how you do the journey, how you show up every single day, that is what matters. So tool number 2 is a non-defensive feedback loop. This one is powerful. Instead of trying to win the conversation, you invite her to give you feedback like a teammate, not a prosecutor. So, hey, I've been working on showing up differently, but I know I missed some things. What's something I haven't noticed yet, but you wish I had? That takes courage, but it also tells her, I'm not performing, I'm growing. It pulls her into your leadership without pushing her, okay? And you have to be careful. You don't want to keep asking for feedback, because guys, especially when they see that it works, they try to just overdo it. Don't do that, okay? Tool number 3 is pattern interrupts. If every convo turns into a shutdown or a blow up, okay, you need to break the cycle. Pattern interrupts are small, unexpected shifts that disarm the emotional script that she's used to. Remember, she's feeding off of old patterns. So instead of reacting or stonewalling, you get calm and you say something like, you don't have to answer right now, but I can tell that something hit you. I want to hear it whenever you're ready. That single moment can stop an emotional flood and rewire how she experiences you. Think of your marriage like an overload power grid. Right now, it's short-circuiting. She's not looking for a new appliance. She's looking for a grounded system that can handle the voltage. That's what the emotional shifting process does. It grounds her emotional charge so she doesn't have to protect herself from you anymore. One of our guys, we're going to call him Mark, okay, used to get defensive every time his wife would bring up the past. She'd say, I feel alone for years. He'd go into shame and over-explaining. We coached him to shift out of that pattern. He listened without flinching, validated without explaining, and when she got overwhelmed, he calmly said, look, it's okay. You don't have to hold any more of that alone. The next week, she asked him to join her for dinner. First time in months. The bottom line is you don't need to be perfect, okay? You just need to show her the man that she stopped trusting isn't the man standing in front of her anymore. And that starts with shifting the energy. And okay, so let's talk about the step that either makes or breaks your second chance. Rebuilding the trust account. Think of trust like a bank account. Every time you overpromise and underdeliver, a withdrawal. Every time you told her you changed and you didn't, withdrawal. Every time you said you'd be home at 6 and show up at 7:30, another withdrawal. And here's the hard truth. You might be operating in the red right now, okay? That means words no longer move the needle. She's not watching for grand gestures. She's watching for what we call is micro consistency. And so, what is micro consistency? Well, it's the small wins stacked daily, not to impress her, but to rebuild the pattern of belief. Here's what that looks like. You say you'll take care of dinner, and you do. No excuses. You send a 30-second check-in text at lunch. Say something like, thinking of you, no reply needed. Not to force connection, but to show presence. And basically, those are small deposits into the trust account. And over time, they start to add up. Imagine your trust with her was a house that burned down. Right now, she's standing in the ashes, and she doesn't need you to build a mansion overnight. She needs to see you layering one brick at a time, every day without rushing it. Remember, it's the journey, not the end destination. Eventually, she starts to believe, maybe this time it's real. Let's say your wife says, I don't want to talk about us right now. The old you would push off. The new you backs off and says, understood. I'll give you space. I'll be working on what I need to fix. Then you quietly start getting up earlier, following through on your schedule, helping with the kids, not missing a beat on anything you said you do. No drama, no explanation, just action. Over time, that builds emotional equity. The key line that you can use here is, I know my words may not carry much weight right now. That's okay. I'm here to show, not convince. That sentence alone drops her defense, and it tells her, you get it, you're not fragile, and you're playing the long game. One of my guys, we'll call him Eric, okay, had a wife who flat out said, I just don't believe anything anymore. Instead of arguing, Eric started playing what we call is the small win game, okay? He made 0 promises, but every single day, he was on time. He kept his tone calm. He stopped justifying and started following through. 6 weeks later, she says the words he never thought he'd hear again. I've noticed how different you've been. I feel safe. Boom. Deposit received. You don't earn back trust in a moment. You earn it in moments. So you need to show her that the man who broke her trust is not the man showing up now. And remember, small wins daily, quietly, no scoreboard, just work. Okay, so the next step is where reattraction begins. It's where she stops bracing and starts feeling again. Step 5 is reset her association with you. So let me explain what that means, right? Right now, every time she hears your voice, every time you walk in the room, she subconsciously is leaking you to stress, tension, and emotional fatigue. So let's call this emotional association stacking. Okay, and even if like every recent memory with you has been cold, heavy, or painful, her body is literally tightening up before you even say a word. Okay, so how do we shift that? Well, you have to start stacking new emotional anchors, not with deep conversations, right? And a lot of guys, they just try to hammer home deep conversations, but it's not always about that, right? We don't, sometimes us guys are like a woodpecker. We just see that one spot and we just keep going at it, right? But, and we don't do this with, we need to talk more moments, but with laughter, lightness, and 0 pressure moments. The feminine is fed through uplifting, motivation, compliments, encouragement, and fun, okay? Because here's the truth. You don't reattract her through shared pain. You reattract her through shared joy. Let me say that again. She's not pulled back by your pain. She's pulled back by how she feels around you. So let's say you and your wife used to love hiking or walking through your old neighborhood. One Saturday, instead of suggesting a sit-down conversation, you say, hey, no pressure, but I'm going to walk the trail today that we used to go to. You're welcome to join if you like. No agenda, just air. She might come, she might not. But if she does, you stay light, grounded, and curious. You're planting a new emotional seed. You're telling her this doesn't have to feel like the old pattern, okay? One of our clients, we'll call him Luis, took his wife on what we called a no pressure memory walk. It was it was a park that they used to visit when they were dating. No big speech, no talking about the marriage, just quiet moments, old stories, and a few jokes. Halfway through, she got emotional. She started saying, I don't know why I'm crying. It just feels like the man I married is here again. And that's the power of emotional re-anchoring. That moment didn't happen because of a perfect script. It happened because she felt a new association forming, one that brought warmth instead of weight. So think of your relationship like a playlist. Right now, your name is linked to songs like We Need to Talk, Tension in the Kitchen, Silent Car Rides. You've got to add some new tracks, basically. Like Laughter in the Backyard, a funny movie she loves, surprising her with coffee and no expectations. One moment at a time, you're editing the playlist. And when she presses play, it starts to feel different. If every memory she has of you is tied to tension, her nervous system is guarding against you. When you bring lightness, curiosity, and non-pressure energy back into the mix, you shift from the man she escaped to the man she misses. So stop trying to rehash everything, create a new experience, stack new emotions, and let her feel. Maybe for the first time in a long time, okay? And look, I actually like being around him again. That's what his wife said. And so I'll write step 6 is where everything starts to shift emotionally. Because at this point, most guys are still doing the one thing that kills attraction faster than anything else. They're trying to convince her, okay? Convince her to talk, convince her it's not that bad, convince her to give it another shot. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you chase, the more she pulls away. So the goal here isn't to push, it's to pull. Most men push their wife away trying to fix her, but the heroic husband invites her back by fixing the foundation. It starts by shifting your posture from pressuring answers to leading with presence. This means creating what we call the space of vulnerability. Not drama, not pressure, not forcing closure, just calmly opening a door, letting her choose whether or not to walk through it. Try saying something like this. I've been reflecting on how I'm trying to show up, and I realize that there's patterns I missed. I'm not expecting anything from you, but I'm working on showing up differently. What do you see that I still might be blind to? Then stop. Let the silence breathe. Let her speak, even if it's hard to hear. The moment is powerful because it tells her he's not performing. He's not chasing. He's safe to be honest with again. Let's say she says something sharp like, you always said you'd change, but it never lasted. The reactive man defends. That's not true. I've done a lot, right? The heroic husband responds, I hear that, and I get why it feels that way. You've seen me promise before and break it. That's on me. I'm not asking for trust. I'm working to earn it, whether you see it yet or not. That's how you pull her attention without demanding her affection, okay? Think of the emotional connection like a campfire. Most men try to force their wife to sit down, warm up, but she's cold, skeptical, and standing far away. Your job isn't to draw her closer. Your job is to quietly build the fire steady, warm, and visible from a distance. And eventually, she starts to feel it, steps closer on her own, not because you talked her into it, but because the energy starts to feel safe again. One of our clients, we'll call him Chris, was getting 0 responses from his wife. She stopped texting back, no affection, nothing. Instead of pushing harder, he shifted. One day, he simply left a short voice note. I know you've probably tuned me out. I don't blame you. I just know I've stopped trying to win you back. I started working on the man who should have shown up in the first place. 3 days later, she replied, that's the first thing that you've said that didn't feel like pressure. That's what invitation looks like. You're not here to sell your wife on reunion. You're here to become a man worth rejoining. When you stop chasing and start leading, when you stop convincing and start inviting, that's when she started watching again. And when that magic pull is real, she won't feel forced, she'll feel drawn. All right, so this is step 7, the final shift that separates the men who hope from men who actually lead their marriage into a new chapter. Step 7, don't rebuild the old marriage, lead into something better. Because here's the truth. She doesn't want the old relationship back. That one broke her. That one left wounds. So if you focus on getting things back to how they used to be, you're already behind. From the man who caused the pain to the man who leads a new pattern. And that identity is what we call the heroic husband. He's not perfect, he's not polished, but he's clear, he's consistent, and he's solid in presence and his direction. And most importantly, he's not trying to rebuild a memory. He's building something better than either of them knew how to create before. So let's say your wife opens the door just a little and starts spending more time together. She's cautiously responsive, basically. Most men mess this part up. They think, okay, she's back. Let's get back to normal. So when they try to schedule old date nights, rekindle some reunions, slip back into old rhythms, and guess what happens? She starts to shut down again. Because in her mind, she's not seeing a new future. She's seeing a repeat of what already didn't work. Imagine your marriage as a bridge that collapses behind you. Okay, you're not leading her back to it. You're building a new one ahead of you with new values, new patterns, and new strengths. The heroic husband doesn't say, let's go back. He says, this time I'll lead with clarity, presence, structure, not perfection, but certainty. That's when leadership becomes irresistible, not because of what you say, but because of what you consistently do. One of our guys, we'll call him Ethan, reached to the point where his wife said, I'm open to seeing where it goes, but I'm scared it'll end the same way. She said the quiet part out loud. Old Ethan would have said, I promise it won't, I've changed. But new Ethan looked her in the eyes and said, I don't want what we had, I want something better. And this time, I'm not hoping you'll follow, I'm leading it. That moment changed everything. If you've made it this far, if you followed these 7 steps, you already started the most important, which is transformation. You stopped trying to fix her. You started becoming the man you were meant to be. So hear this. You're not getting a second chance to fix the past. You're getting the first chance to lead the future. And if you lead it well, she just might want to be part of it. All right, so if this hits home, here's what I want you to do next. If you're done guessing, if you're ready to stop chasing, overthinking, and living on the edge, go down below, grab the Heroic Husband book where this exact framework is mapped out for you. Don't just watch this video, start living the shift. And if you want real-time support, book a clarity call. If your wife is pulling away, if trust is broken, if silence is killing your confidence, you don't need more time, okay? You need a framework, you need a strategy, and you need a system that works. This is what we're here to do every day inside the Heroic Husband Method. And if you're serious, we'll show you how this fits your situation. A man named Brent watched this same video 6 months ago, okay? His wife had moved out, his kids barely talked to him, and instead of waiting to see what happens, he made the call. Today, he's leading his family again, not perfectly, but powerfully. Because he didn't wait for luck. He grabbed a plan. You don't need luck, you need a plan. And now you have one. The next move is yours. Hit a like, drop a comment, go down below, get the book or book a clarity call, and I'll see you in the next video.